everybody is worried about and everybody is talking about is the coronavirus. And I thought I would talk to one of my friends that I talk to all the time that is in the know with what is going on in the business world. So I thought I would bring him on and try to do some type of a video. This is the first time I'm doing this type of video. So if we mess it up, that's okay. But I just wanted to talk to him and ask him some questions about what is going on in the business world and what kind of things could help other people out there. So, the first question I thought I would ask you is, um, what is Region 4? Because this is Stephen Cook. He works for Region 4 Development in Idaho. So, can you explain that just a little bit?
Yeah, so Region 4 is a certified development company, meaning that we are authorized by SBA to do the SBA 504 program, which typically is a real estate equipment type loan product that SBA has. We also have several other loan programs that we use in conjunction with banks from EDA and from USDA and a couple other sources. And so basically, we're here in the marketplace to support small businesses in finding financial opportunities to realize their dreams. And so right now in the news, we're hearing lots of SBA loans, SBA disaster loans, 100% guaranteed loans, and so we're fielding a lot of those questions right now, and we're trying to help small businesses survive whatever is happening out in the world right now.
So, is Region 4 open right now?
So I am technically in our office right now. As you can kind of see behind me a little bit, I am at the office. I am one of two people at the office in the building right now. We are located on CSI's campus. And so right now we are officially closed. However, I had a few things that I had to take care of on our network. And so I am at the office. But our doors are closed, but we are still actively working, just working remotely like many of you.
So, to get a hold of you, is an email or a phone call?
Yeah, so cell phone is probably the easiest way to get a hold of me, 208-749-1282. And my email is sjcook@csi.edu.
Okay, awesome. So, let's get into some questions. What is your assessment of the business environment right now?
Well, prior to Friday, well, let's even back up. 2 weeks ago, I would have said, man, we are booming. We're in a booming economy. Everything is great. There's no concerns. Let us help you grow and expand and do that. To now, fast forward 2 weeks, and it's how do we survive? How do we keep our doors open? How do we keep our employees employed? How do we make rent? How do we make payroll? How do we survive this shutdown? And what are our options? That's what we're dealing with right now. Unfortunately, the options are fluid right now. And so to help a small business is kind of difficult right now as there's so many ideas of options, but none of them, I shouldn't say none of them, but a lot of them are not in place right now.
Okay. So, what businesses would you say are hit the hardest right now?
Right now, from our perspective, it's probably hospitality. So you've got your event planners, you've got your restaurants, you've got your hotels, all of those travel companies, all of those industries are really being hit from our perspective the hardest. Some industries, as far as dentists and others that across the country, maybe not necessarily here in Idaho, that are being even asked to shut their doors since they're not essential. So really anybody that's being affected by either a shutdown or people not coming are being hit the hardest right now. So it's really across the board. I was on a conference call with SBA just a couple hours ago, and typically, when you're looking at disaster funding or you're looking at, you can pinpoint a specific area or industry that's being affected. And the way SBA listed it today is it's all business being affected by this shutdown.
Hmm. So, can you think of ways that just the regular Joe Schmo can help with this? I mean, should we I don't know what we can do, and, are there any ideas about what the regular person could do to help these small businesses survive?
I know in our office last week, while we were still, all of our staff was still coming to the office, we chose to support small businesses during the lunch hour, and we ordered in, and we went and picked up those items or had it delivered. Right now, in Twin Falls, at least, we see that still being an option, that you can still order. You can still go through drive-throughs. You can still do takeout. Even you can do some sit-down restaurants still. And so I would really just say get out and support your small business friends, the local small businesses that you know, and really focus on them and ask how can I help you? What can I do to support your business during this?
Well, did you hear that?
I did.
Okay, I don't know what that was. We'll keep
I
going.
think it came from my computer as I continue to get emails and requests of help. So,
So, what do you think, what types of businesses do you think will start feeling the stress of what's happening in the next few weeks or coming months?
first of all, hospitality is the obvious one that is being stressed as shutdown looms for them specifically. Large gatherings of people are being shut down across the country, and locally, we're being asked to not gather. So that's the obvious answer. The next obvious answer is probably the medical, just as resources are limited, and the resources are being utilized so fast. So I fielded lots of questions from medical professionals that can't get their supplies that they're typically getting, or they're being asked to shut down since they're not essential. And so we're starting to see this trickle down into all industry, from ones that you would think, hey, he's a dentist, he won't be shut down or is really being affected, but really any place that has a gathering of people is starting to feel the stress, and it's only going to get worse from what we see. Here in southern Idaho, we're really a couple weeks behind the East Coast, the large states in California and Oregon. We're a couple weeks behind, and so locally we're not shut down yet, but we can definitely see it coming. And so all industry that takes on a hands-on perspective is going to be stressed to the max.
Well, one of the things when you say trickle down, it just makes me think about, okay, let's just if you just take the restaurant hospitality, those are servers in a restaurant, maybe in hotels, the people that are cleaning hotel rooms. So let's just take those two small industries right there and just say, well, okay, well, they are now out of work. Well, they now can't pay rent. So
Correct.
now the people that are renters that are, that homeowners, own apartment complexes or whatever, now they're not getting their monthly revenue off of their rent. Well, they have mortgages. Well, banks will be holding the mortgages. So now the banks aren't getting the rent that was coming from those. And it just trickles down to where it now just starts to affect everybody. I mean, once you hit the banks, that's where it starts to hurt everybody.
Yeah, and I think you're already seeing that, to be honest with you. People are already worried, how are they going to make next month's payment? I know here in our office, what we've been busy with in the last several working days is deferments and deferring loan payments on their real estate, on their equipment, on their working capital, on so many different things. And so lots of concerned people of how do I make my next payment? How do I survive? Um, and really here in southern Idaho, we haven't been fully shut down yet.
Right.
You look up to the north of us, up in Blaine County, Sun Valley area, and they are on an isolation order, and they are being affected by that. And so businesses are just shut down. I was on the phone with several of them yesterday, and they're shut down. It's how do I survive? Um, how do I keep my employees payroll? How do I help them? And that's really what we're here to do. Is we're just here to support them, provide some funding, provide options to funding, and to see really what's out there, and to assist them in any way possible.
Okay, so let's go to that question that I had is what can Region 4 offer to businesses that are hurting? Can you go into some specifics without going too deep?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a $2 million question right now, to be honest with you. And I say $2 million question because right now SBA has unleashed the disaster loans for all those that have been affected due to this emergency and this pandemic. So if you were already having an emergency, if you were already not meeting payroll, it's really not necessarily for those individuals. It's the ones that are being affected by this pandemic, and how do we survive that? And so to apply for those funds right now, you go to sba.gov/disaster, and those are for small business loans. Those loans can be up to $2 million, and they can be utilized for working capital, debt payments, payroll, rent, all those operating expenses that are not going to go away just because you shut your doors.
So what do those loans look like?
So right now, those loans have an amortization of up to 30 years. So you're going to have an option to pay those over 30 years at 3.75% interest for small businesses, and 2.75 for nonprofits. And so it's very advantageous. It's a very good loan terms, I would say. But the problem is we were on the phone call with them on Thursday, and as of Thursday morning, 30,000 small businesses had applied at that point, and they anticipated that 3 to 500,000 businesses would eventually apply for those funds. And so it's been very difficult to get through the website, get through the application process, just to be able to submit for application. So that's really option. I would say option two. Option one is probably going to your bank and to your lender, and possibly even your landlord, and asking for a deferment of payment. That's not canceling the payments. It's not doing anything like that. It's hey, I can't make the payment now, but can I either tack it onto the back end of my loan or mortgage, or can I spread those payments out over the next 5 years and catch up that way? That's really option one. Option two would then be going after, and probably simultaneously, is going after these disaster funds, and getting your application in. Even though you get your application in, doesn't mean you have to accept the funds once you are approved. But those are option one and two. Option three is Region 4 Development does have local funds that can assist with small businesses through other government agencies. We are seeking additional funds, but right now we do have some that can be used for working capital, debt service, uh, several options as far as helping small businesses. And so that's really option three, because those funds are limited. We're requesting additional. The next thing is savings, and family and friends, and your community. Really, we need to step up if we want these small businesses to survive after this. As a community, we really need to step up and support these small businesses as well.
So for this disaster funds that are available, that you mentioned, how hard is it to qualify for that?
To qualify, yeah, that's a $2 million question. So what they're telling us is the application process is really not that bad. It's not a typical SBA application process. It's a 2-page application. It's submitting an IRS form 4506T, which allows SBA to verify your tax returns. It's submitting your tax returns. It's submitting a personal financial statement, and it's submitting a couple signatures on a couple different forms. But they really have tried to streamline this to allow for a quick turnaround. What they told us last week is turnaround for approval would be anywhere from 3 to 4 days, and funding up to 30 days. And so relatively pretty quick, but how do you survive those times? It's pinching pennies for sure.
Is that interest rate that you told us on that loan, is that better than what normal businesses would probably have on a business loan?
For working capital purposes and debt refinance, it is. It's a very competitive interest rate. We were before all this, and we continue to be in a decreasing rate environment. And so, maybe people are going to be like, well, I can go get a mortgage for 3%. Well, you're not comparing apples to apples. For working capital purposes, that is a very competitive interest rate, and really is saved for a top tier borrower. And that's being offered to everybody and anybody that has a small business.
Okay. All right, let's go to the next question then. So, what can people do outside of the Region 4 area to get help? So, if somebody's reading or not reading, but watching this and they're in Florida or they're in, wherever, Alabama or Tennessee, is there a Region 4, I don't know, kind of
Yeah.
places that you go to?
Yeah, so right now, we are authorized by these different government agencies to operate in the state of Idaho for the SBA program, and then our other programs were permitted to be in the Magic Valley, the 8 counties of the Magic Valley, and the 10 counties of the Treasure Valley. And so that's our demographic. That's our region, is really the state of Idaho, and then for some of our funds, it's the Treasure Valley and the Magic Valley. In eastern Idaho, there's a very similar organization, and we have a great partnership with them. And up in northern Idaho, there's similar organizations as well that have these loan funds. Across the country, typically there is an organization very similar to ours, and it's as easy as going to Google and typing in economic development companies or certified development companies, and seeking out those for your area, or give me a call, and I'll help find those resources for you. Recently I've received calls from North Dakota or New Mexico, and I was able to refer them to the different agencies that cover their specific area.
Well, hopefully this doesn't get a million hits, and then you've got people from all over the country calling you saying, "Who can I call?"
And if it does, I apologize. We will be delayed a little bit in getting responses back out, as we already are a little bit delayed on that, just because of the phone calls that we are currently getting.
Okay. So the next one I thought I would bring up is, can this stuff hurt your credit score? So let's say you do go and ask for this loan for an emergency. Is it going to hurt people's credit, or is that not going to count?
So SBA will pull your credit, so it will be a normal pull on your credit, just as if you were going to go buy a car or a home. You're going to have the same impact on your credit. But as far as disaster or emergency funding hurting it more than a typical new loan would, no, it won't.
Okay. So we're talking mostly about small businesses, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So what is there anything for a medium to a large business for assistance from the government?
So yes, to be determined. I think, as we saw in the news the last couple of days, is the feds couldn't get a deal approved yesterday for a stimulus package. Today we're hearing that they're back at the table, and it should be getting voted on today. Who knows? But within that bill, there'll be options for all businesses and all Americans to be supported from what we're hearing. As far as medium to large businesses, we just don't assist them. They have their own resources, they have their own contacts. We're really here for Main Street. But in southern Idaho, there's not very many businesses that we can't assist with.
Okay. I think that's about all of my questions that I could come up with, just, me not knowing anything about anything. What do you think will happen with government assistance for individuals?
Luckily, I'm not having to worry about that at the moment. That's not our realm. We're more for the small businesses. But obviously, as small businesses affect, as you mentioned earlier in the video, that people are starting to lay people off, and obviously, it's going to have a trickle down effect to individuals. And so, as we read these other posts by congressional delegates and whatnot, we do hear that there is a individual mandate within that. I shouldn't say individual mandate, but an individual component to that, and who knows? We'll have to wait to see what ends up coming of that as they begin to get that thing finalized. But we are hearing that it is coming.
Yeah, and as I think about that, let's just say it's $1,000 per individual. I'm just not sure how much that's really going to help. I mean, I can't imagine that it would help for very long. Maybe for a month, maybe it would help for next month to pay all the bills next month. But then, I mean, the next month is rolling around in, just 30 days. So I don't, I guess that's just my opinion, but I know that they're trying to jumpstart the economy, get people to buy again. And, but I don't know. It's a little scary out there.
Yeah, it is, $1,000 a month. Yeah, it's a lot of money, but at the same time, it doesn't go very far with where rents and mortgages are in today's day and age. I would guess most people's mortgages are above $1,000 a month anymore. And so, yeah, it's a scary situation for all, and it's a scary situation for small businesses. Hopefully, this doesn't last very long, and it will be just a moment in time, and we'll be right back up and running.
So, is there anything, I'm just about done. Is there anything that I missed that you wanted to talk about? Maybe, what businesses can do right now, maybe thinking outside the box. Anything else that you can give as advice for people that
Yeah,
are looking for small business?
yeah, it's absolutely a hard discussion, but I think all of us are going to have to make hard decisions right now. It might be laying off so that you can save 10 jobs instead of 12 jobs. All of us are going to have to make hard decisions to get through this. And hopefully it is just a blip in time, and we'll be right back at a booming economy that we were 2 weeks ago. But I would just encourage, those, especially the small businesses, if you have questions, if you need help on your application for the disaster funds, even though we aren't the ones that submit it, we're definitely here to bounce ideas off of it and to ask questions. I have the application sitting on my desk, and I've received several phone calls. Well, what do I put in this box, or what do I do there? Or how do I upload this document? We're really here to help you any way we can with the resources that we have.
I like the idea that you throw out of cutting expenses, and I've heard that several times. Is number one, cut expenses. What are some of the things that we can cut first? Is that the lawn care? Is that whatever that is? I mean, you can't cut electricity, but maybe you can turn lights off earlier, or maybe there's some things that you can do to cut some of those expenses before you start getting into those really hard decisions.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anything else that you want to share with us before we go?
No, just really good luck, everybody. If there's anything Region 4 can do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out and give us a call, and we'll see what we can do. Again, my cell phone number is 208-749-1282. Don't hesitate to use it.
Okay. Well, thanks for meeting with me online. I think it went okay. Do you feel like it
Yeah,
went
yeah, we'll see what the response is. Hopefully, my phone doesn't blow up
okay?
too much, but if it does, that's okay too. We'll do what we can.
Okay, awesome. And maybe, if we get more questions, if you have questions that you would like to pose, you could leave comments down below as well. And maybe we could respond to those questions or maybe do another one of these conference calls and answer some of the other questions that might come up. So thank
Absolutely.
you for coming and having this interview.
Okay. Hey, thanks, Clint.
It's been
Appreciate it.
great. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.